freaked out and just like rushed down a side street so I wouldn't have to encounter them.
Because you didn't want them to know where you lived, or you just didn't want to deal with them?
I just didn't want to deal with. I didn't want them in my space.
Yeah. It's a rough one, and I.
It's like you hire a hooker at night, and then you come in to audition people for your new movie, and then like your hooker comes in. She's an aspiring actress, and like it would makes most people uncomfortable when their hookers come in, and you don't want to, like you want to keep your hookers, I hear, in like a separate compartment.
You keep the hookers where they
and you don't want the
hookers go where the hookers go, and the rabbis go where the rabbis go.
Yeah, and you don't want your hookers showing up in your shawl, and you don't want your hookers showing up at your accountant's, and you don't want your hookers showing up at your sports club, and.
It's so funny because I'm realizing now. Someone just mentioned on my Facebook thing, "Oh boy, you have a lot of friends," and I said, "Well, my senior year of high school, I was voted friendliest," and then I was just saying, I made a joke about that. But I was thinking, in high school, I did feel not limited by all these different cliques that were around. I felt like I could pretty much permeate any of them. But what I didn't feel comfortable was then bringing different cliques together. I felt actually powerless. I felt like I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't want it to happen. Because I would feel confused.
Yeah, because I feel empathy for all parties, and I know how aghast some parties would be by the others.
Right.
And it just tears me up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've got the Orthodox Jews and I've got the porn people, and I know that this is not the way they roll. Yeah. And so I remember I was at this wedding. Friends of mine from Shul got married a few years ago, and I was feeling really happy and social. And when I get happy and social, I like to tell dirty jokes. I mean, it's everyone. But like. Every time I started to tell a dirty joke, I'd see my rabbi.
Right.
And it like totally cast a pall on...
Wait, this was where? This was at the...
This was at a wedding. Now, there are a lot of people from my shul and from the Orthodox community, but there are a lot of people there who are secular and would appreciate a good dirty joke.
Right.
And I was like in fine form. I was very entertaining. But every time I was like getting launched on a lascivious story, you know, I'd see my rabbi, or I'd see my rabbi's wife, and... It was not a...
That's challenging.
Yeah. I get some people that are integrated and they don't want to tell dirty jokes at weddings.
Well, see, but I don't think... Because the idea of integration now is interesting to me, because I would like to be able to feel that free, where like you can just be you and you don't have to worry about context at all. And I think I am kind of, but anyway. I think, for me, the answer is more that, like, no. The thing is that I like dirty jokes. And... you might not invite the rabbi to a function where you're going to be telling dirty jokes, but like you can't pretend that it's not your, or not you. I wouldn't want to pretend that it wasn't my thing if it was. I would say, look, you know, and I'm thinking if I were in this situation, look, my porn friends are going to be here. I'm going to be, you know, swearing like a sailor and making all kinds of, talking about all kinds of sex things you've never conceived of. You might not want to come.
I remember I was at this pornographer's office and I was just walking out, and suddenly I saw someone from my shul walking in.
Oh.
An Orthodox Jewish guy out here. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to.
You were embarrassed.
No, I was
embarrassed for him.
I just embarrassed about the whole situation. I just didn't like the situation, and I just tried to avoid it. And I guess he was duplicating the man's content. He was a duplicator, and so he was. But I felt. That was very uncomfortable for me. And then I was at a Jewish Federation picnic and hanging out, throwing a football around, and this guy comes up to me and says, "We're in the same industry." I thought, what? He says, "Yeah, my name's Arnold Schwarzenegger."
What?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
He was a male performer in the porn industry.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
wait, this was at a what picnic?
Jewish Federation Young Leadership picnic.
What?
Like, I'm there to meet a nice Jewish girl.
Yeah, and you meet Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And I meet Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's also there to meet a nice Jewish girl.
And it totally, like, or I remember I stepped into Stephen S. Wise one time, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, I just saw you on Entertainment Tonight talking about Linda Lovelace." And that was not the conversation I wanted to have right there at Stephen S. Wise Temple.
Well, see, but I think you've got room there, personally, because talking on Entertainment Tonight about Linda Lovelace is not a bad thing. That it's well, not necessarily. I mean, like I said, the "Give Me Your Soul" thing. I don't care what anyone says out there. Personally, if I were you, if someone from the religious spiritual community tried to give me any crap about that, I would really go to the mat on that. I would be like, no, this was a fucking mitzvah I was doing, and I'll tell you why. So I think, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. I was on a date and with this girl I really liked, and we'd just gotten back from this trip to Israel, and she said, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but a lot of people didn't want you to come along on this trip. They just didn't want you around. But
bitch, why did you?
But they were,
Sorry, what trip is this again?
It was a Jewish Federation singles trip to Israel in 2000, and she said, when I heard you were interested in coming, I was all excited. But then when I told so and so, and she heard that you were coming, she was aghast. But you behaved really well on the trip. But sometimes you say these really inappropriate things. And I was saying, yeah, I need to work on that. And so we'd have this really intense 1 a.m. talk. It's now 2 a.m. I'm walking out of Jerry's Deli, and I hear this guy yelling, "Hey, Luke, come over here." It's Ron Jeremy. So I'm on a date, and so I walk over, and my girlfriend's right with me, but I don't introduce them, and she gets the hint and goes off to the restroom. And then she asked me out later, "Why didn't you introduce us?" And I said, "Oh, he's kind of sleazy. You wouldn't want to." No, I didn't explain who Ron Jeremy was.
Right.
I really didn't want Ron Jeremy in my pristine Jewish world.
That's fascinating to me for a few reasons. One, she wanted to tell you that she thought you were making some inappropriate comments, and she starts by trying to shame you, by telling you other people didn't want you around, didn't want you. Now that was just them, that wasn't me, but now I'm going to tell you what they didn't like. Now to me that's bullshit. That's like, you know what? If you've got something you want me to change, tell me. Otherwise, don't pretend you're speaking for other people. Because it's not kind. It's not a kind way to bring something like that to you, I think. Do you agree at all? Like,
no, it seemed reasonable.
It seemed reasonable. All right. The other thing I was going to say is just that there are a lot of people who are turned off. Okay, yes, Ron Jeremy, but you have to realize if you're at a Jewish singles mixer, like. This is, that also is a lot of cachet that comes from knowing someone like Ron Jeremy. It's from a different world, and a world that a lot of the boys know, but have no direct access to. I mean, so it gives you the things, I bet a lot of the things that you feel a little bit of shame around are things that to other people are, some of them anyway, are very enticing.
I did a Jewish singles mixer. I brought Kendra Jade once. And she was quite at the head of the party.
She's I do know
she's
some.
She's an actress in the adult industry. Okay. She had a little fling with Jerry Springer in 1998 that hit the tabloids. So that's what she's most famous for.
So you brought her to a Jewish singles mixer?
Yeah, she and her stepmother.
You are such a rascal.
Blew Jerry Springer, and these tabloid cameramen got pictures and they put it all.
Both of them, her and her mom, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, her and the stepmom. And so I brought Kendra to this Jewish singles mixture, but told her she had to be on a good behavior, but quite a few people recognized her and they were very friendly, and like they wanted to know what she did, and they wanted her card, and her card has like her very naked on her business card, and so
this was a Jewish singles mixer at the Federation?
Yeah, I think so. I took Rob Spillane and Kendra Jade.
That's glorious. I mean, I love it. I mean, because there's nothing wrong with it, but it's such wonderful mischief making too. Because like the guys wouldn't have been able to look at another woman there.
Right.
Yeah. Right. How did the women respond?
It didn't go too badly. Considering that as soon as I walked in, someone yelled, "Oh, I saw you on True Hollywood Story last night talking about Linda Lovelace."
Oh, that was the same one.
And that was like this different woman, different place, but. That's what she yelled out as soon as I walked in, and that really wasn't what I wanted to talk about that night. But,
did that get you? Did you do better with the ladies at the mixer because you were with Kendra Jade?
No, I didn't succeed with any of the ladies at the. But I remember I met up with this graduate of Beis Yaakov, which is a very right-wing Orthodox seminary. And she said, I think it's cool that you used to be with porn stars. So,
so what? So you're just like, there's that.
So there was so there's like a whole mixture of reactions.
They do,
so.
yeah. I mean, even the ones who hate it because they think it's cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Like, it's. I mean, why do you hate something? You don't hate something because you don't care about it. You hate something because something about it you was drawn to it, and you detest that.
I remember I agreed to do a scene for this movie maker in the adult industry where He wanted me to get whipped by Tina Tyler. And so I went down to my